How's it, everyone? Back on a ride. Moreover, this one's maybe just to see if I can get a better version going of the previous video I put out. The video was great, audio was poor in the sense that my talking and the engine noise were the same output, and with my accent many of you were unable to follow. So now I've got the microphone in the helmet and I'm going to give you an update, owner's update. So after the couple of things I've been doing on this motorcycle. So before I get to owner's update, the new Triumph Storm is out. Spectacular looking motorcycle, new colors, lots of matte black, especially on the exhaust, and I'm quite sure many people like and enjoy that. Personally, I love the contrast and the colors. This motorcycle and all of the others are lots of chrome or bright areas with dark areas, and then the color schemes that go with it. So that motorcycle has got a slight increase in power. I can't recall the figures, but I guess it's around 30 horsepower, 20 horsepower, thereabouts, and I think something like 5 Newton meters torque. So they haven't made any hardware changes. That's all software, ECU electronics. So it would be interesting to see how that compares, those maps compare to the original maps, those of Ulf Penner, and also to what I've done. The numbers Triumph I've got on that motorcycle, dear Lord, is very similar to what I get with this map. In any case, I'd love to see in the reverse of this video that BMW, how far it came to hitting me from the back, because over is worse than me on a motorcycle. But on 4 wheels. In any case, so the Storm's out. I'll have a short little video, have a look at that, and then let's talk about the owner's update. So I changed my map, and a question I've had is, how does it drive, how does it feel? I really like it. It's very responsive, very linear. You know, what your hand's doing and what the bike's doing is directly connected. What the drive-by-wire should be. On a note, you can potentially say it is brutally crisp. So if you haven't got a smooth throttle hand, then this specific throttle map is definitely not for you. Having said that, these throttle maps you smooth out, and I've got examples of that. The reason why I mention it, I've had owners reach out to me, and I've helped a couple of owners. They obviously want to stay anonymous to not create conflict with the dealers. So that's why I mention you know, making something custom and fitting for your riding and your riding style. 2 months ago I had a rear master slave brake recall done under warranty, and so I can report back 2 months later that the rear brake has faded beyond any use. So there's definitely a problem, and then I started delving a bit deeper to try and understand what's happening, and then I've picked up another bad problem with the rear brake, and that is that the rear rotor is loose. It actually wears and pivots on its bolts. Now, I know some folk have previously talked about floating discs, but the front discs are also floating discs, and they don't do that the same. So that is the rear brake and implementation on this bike is a poor design and implementation, at least from me. It doesn't bother me really, even though I'm still going to take it to the dealer to have sorted out, because that playing the rotor, and I'll put in a little video, can be dangerous, at least for me, because it keeps wearing and eventually something's going to break, which can be catastrophic. So we talked about the rear brakes. So behind my wheel here on the left hand side is where the registration disc holder sits, made out of carbon fiber. Mine's broken off. I'm not sure if it happens by a boot or pants that gets entangled to it, or if it just broke off from wear and tear, but it's not at a great place. So I've got the paperwork now essentially in my wallet. That's where I carry it, so I don't need to worry about that. That's the other thing. The tires on this motorcycle, the Avon Cobra Chrome, so there's no stock of them. And the reason why I know is I got a screw in my front tire, just off center. And so I reached out to find tires to realize that there's nothing. There's been a backlog for a very long time, and I don't know when they're gonna be available. So a bit more conflicting info on that. The new Storm, I've seen pictures of the new Storm with Metzlers, which is looks like the Cruiser Tech, the replacement for the Avons. But then I've also seen the new Storm with Avon Cobra Chromes on, so not quite sure about that. So I eventually had to use a rope plug in my tire. I've never done that. It's actually quite straightforward. It's just important to get a rope that is thick enough for the hole that's in there. Make sure you get enough glue on that rope, because typically when you take out whatever's caused the puncture, the air leaks out, so you can't get glue on the hole. So make sure you get enough glue on the rope, because then you will get it into the hole. And also rough up that hole quite well. So I've been checking and monitoring the tire temperature to make sure, you know, it doesn't leak, there isn't any other issues evolving around that spot. So it's now 3 weeks, I'm not losing pressure, it's all looking good. No need to buy tires yet. Having said, at some point in time we will need to replace, so hopefully new tires will be available. I don't know what else did I have on the owner's update. I first of all want to also welcome all the subscribers and those I have, and folk that leave thoughtful feedback and comments. As an example, I had somebody tell me no clear means about the poor quality in the previous video. And when you create your own content, you tend to have blinds on and not see it as bad as it really is. So I'm thankful for people that can respectfully and thoughtfully point out ways of improving things. So much appreciated wherever you work. Talking about the new Storm, that matte exhaust and so forth, I've said before, one of the things I really liked about this motorcycle is the contrast in colors, the chromes, you know, the little details like the polished air-cooled fins on the engine block. It's obviously water-cooled, but they give it that look. The badge they've got on there, the way it's positioned and look, the aggressive stance on this motorcycle, and one of the reasons why I've got the camera position where it is. This motorcycle is very distinctive. It gets a bucket load full of attention, and especially folk that don't ride motorcycles. It's absolutely weird, but it goes to show it's a classy design. It looks cool. It's one of the reasons why I invested in this motorcycle, because I think it's gonna become a classic in look. This whole retro look, the size of the engine, you know, and the performance that goes with it. From a naturally aspirated perspective, you don't see these things anymore. Everything's becoming 1 liter engines or 1.2 liter engines with turbos, or even I wanted to say worse, but I've got a liking for application for electric vehicles in some sense. So, but that's where it's going, electric in these small turbocharged motors. So this is an era I think that's is at the end, and hence I want to keep this motorcycle. And the investment I've made in the tools to support and maintain it with a tune ECU. So the microphone's situated right here between my eyes and my brow. It's the only space I could find to fit it. And the other interesting thing is going to be to finally hear and get an understanding of how much wind noise is in this helmet. It's definitely not of the top performance when it comes to silent helmets, but it's not bad. So hopefully the audio is going to be good, my voice, and hopefully you can also at least hear some of the environmentals, especially the engine. If not, a boer maak 'n plan. You know, a guy, you make a plan. So if this isn't working when I get funds, my plan is to buy just a lavalier mic, wire it into the helmet, which is quite easy, and then have it connected to my cell phone via a connector and record. So if this audio is acceptable, then that might be the route I'm gonna go, and then still use the Insta right on the exhaust for some awesome ASMR video. So I'm gonna shut up a bit because I also want to hear what just the motor environmental sounds like without me talking and riding. So give me 2 minutes. The other thing is, And these bikes you've got to steer more like a motocross, and using your legs big time. And nothing wrong with this motorcycle's brakes. The front ones. One thing I do like about this Spartan helmet, very stable with these I don't know, fins at the back. I don't think it's the safest helmet compared to something like a Rai, so let me just give that context. And that is because of this visor. It's in between the shell and the stuff that protects your brain. So, I don't know. But it meets my bare minimum requirements for helmet, so hopefully that means something. I've got quite high standards. So I'm gonna head home. Hopefully the environmentals is sounding good. So there hopefully is gonna be some ASMR soundtrack heading home. Here's a 5.0 Stag. He also enjoys a reddish color. Cheers everyone, thanks for subscribing, following and being thoughtful and respectful on this channel. Peace, man. Ah. Another purple red 5.0. Oh, poor line jockey. bumpy stuff